Man, here we are at the end of the year, end of the semester. And it's crazy. We have seen God move in such a powerful way this entire year. And we have seen you guys show up for each other. We have seen you guys love each other. And so we know that we are able to be a witness to you guys being transformed by real community, real devotion, and real responsibility as you guys challenge yourselves in all of those areas. And so tonight we have the opportunity to talk about the summer and seeing those things also transform your summer and transform your summer experience. Uh, we are going to be answering the question of what it looks like to have a successful summer. And I have chosen to title this sermon A Hot Holy Summer. And that may have offended you a little bit. If it has, you can email me at robmalcolm@gmail.com and we can sort all of that out. But that is what I believe that we are capable of having this summer is a summer in which God can move in a powerful way. So what and how do we have a successful summer? Uh, how do we take advantage of a season in our lives in which we have the opportunity to find rest and find restoration where God can renew us? Do we take this season of our life and fill it with activities so that we don't see it wasted? Or do we overdose on sleep and waste the opportunity for God to move in us and through us? So that's what we're going to answer tonight. But before we do so, I am going to talk a little bit about what my summer looked like when I was in middle school and high school. Okay, so when the last couple of weeks rolled around and we were headed into summer, I distinctly remember sitting around a bunch of desks and starting to discuss what summer plans were going to be. All of my friends talking about, what things we would do. And every single summer, we centered it around our relationship. So let me talk about what those activities were. So we would get up late, go to the park, play basketball, then come back to my house, play basketball in my backyard, and then we'd go out to eat later that night, maybe to McDonald's because we were poor. Um, and that was okay because we were around each other. And maybe one of the days in the middle of the summer, a lot of times actually, our plans would be interrupted by chores that my parents wanted us to do. So if that was cutting the grass or cleaning the yard, it was common to see my friends helping out because it was all about those relationships. It was about being in close proximity with each other. And if that happened, it was a pretty successful summer. And once the next year rolled around, our relationships were very, very tight. So, the point that I'm going to try to make tonight, again and again, the point that I'm going to drive tonight is if you want to have a successful summer, then it must be centered around relationships. As Jesus followers, we also have the most important relationship in our life, which is that one with Jesus. And what I am going to venture out to say is if we want to see our summer be one in which we're transformed, we experience maturity, it's going to be one that is going to need to be centered around that relationship with Jesus if we wish to grow in our faith. So it's not going to be a question of us acquiring a few disciplines or acquiring skills or knowledge or wisdom, but it's going to be about a shift in our heart in which we fall more and more in love with Jesus, and deepen our friendship with him. And so tonight, I think it's important to look at a young man in the Bible that I think is inspiring to me, and I think will be inspiring to all of you, because he lived his life completely devoted to Jesus, and his entire life was centered on his relationship with God, and that is Daniel. And so we're going to go into the book of Daniel, and we are going to jump into a few moments. We might not put up a lot of the passages, so I'll kind of talk through them. But we're going to first visit chapter 1, verse 7, just to talk about and jump into this moment that Daniel is experiencing a shift and change in a season, in a context, in an environment. So Daniel chapter 1, verse 7 says, the chief official gave them new names. To Daniel, the name Belshazzar; to Hananiah, Shadrach; to Mishael, Meshach; and to Azariah, Abednego. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. So let me tell you what this means for all of their names to be completely changed. I would feel completely disrespected, but let's talk about this specific context. Their names are being changed. That means that they're forced to change their identity, and every any ounce of identity of the one that they had before was stripped away from them. So they had completely new names. They were in a completely new environment. They were asked now to eat a completely different diet. And it's interesting to me that now they're being forced to give their entire allegiance and devotion to someone other than their God. And these three young men in Daniel meet this affront with complete resistance because they are devoted to their God. Here's another example from the book of Daniel. So, because they don't want to defile themselves, because they don't want to find themselves now being slowly and gently persuaded to have a different purpose, a different allegiance, they decided they're going to eat vegetables only, and they're only going to drink water. They are unwilling at every single point to negotiate their devotion to their God. And this is very powerful for them, and God honors this. What we find is that God uses less than what other people have to do more than what others of their age could. Man, so God was good and God was faithful to them as they did not negotiate in their devotion to their God. That's pretty powerful stuff. And all of this continues to happen throughout the book of Daniel, is that you see seasons change, context change, environments change, lifestyle change, but he continues to stay devoted to God. And so do the other three young men. So what does it look like for us to go into a new season such as summer, and for us to continue to find ourselves uh, devoted to God. A lot of us might be looking at our summers right now, and there's a complete, maybe, lack of internships, a lack of opportunities, or it just doesn't look like the other summers that we were able to experience. And we might feel a little bit hopeless on it. And a lot of us believe, hey, if I don't take advantage of every single opportunity and I don't squeeze every single opportunity out of this summer, uh, what will it serve for? Like, will it be a complete loss? And I just want you to ask one question tonight. What if that's not God's plan? What if it's not to fill every single hour, every single second, trying to squeeze every opportunity out of the summer? And God's plans are completely different. Are you willing to make yourself aware of what those plans are? And are you willing to make yourself aware so that you can experience a deeper devotion to your God? Again, however Daniel's circumstances were to change, you're going to find throughout this entire book that he maintained a devotion. And another interesting thing about Daniel's life, I don't know if you've read this before, or maybe someone has told you this, but Daniel prayed 3 times a day. And he prayed 3 times a day consistently. And you know what's amazing about this is that it wasn't something that shifted and changed every day. The hours didn't change. His practices around his relationship with his God were not determined by what commitments he had that day or what responsibilities he had. In fact, it was the other way around. It didn't matter what commitments or responsibilities he had that week or that month. His devotional life stayed consistent because his entire life was centered around that relationship that he had with God. So he lived a very formed life by these practices. There was always clarity on what to do next or what to say next because it was in constant communication and allowing God to constantly move and shape his life and lead him. So again, Daniel was like unwilling to negotiate in anything. And this is powerful. So how do we enter into a summer and not negotiate when it comes to our devotion to Jesus? And despite having maybe an internship to go to and responsibilities that we need to attend to, how do we maintain a devotion to Jesus? And how do we center our summer around our relationship with Jesus? Okay, so I have 3 practices that I believe are going to be ones that are going to bring fruit and are going to bring maturity and are going to bring growth into this relationship that we all have with Jesus. You guys ready? All right, so 1, keep Jesus close. So that is going to be centered around a devotional life. I'm going to say that this summer is important to maintain a devotional life, that throughout the entire summer, you're making sure that this is consistent, that you don't miss a day, that you try to not miss a day, where you're able to have that one-on-one time with Jesus and have his voice speaking to absolutely everything that you're doing that summer. I'm going to throw out a really great resource that you will hear repeated again and again and again, and it is a book called Devotional Classics by Richard Foster. And this book is filled with many men and women that followed Jesus and lived a deeply formed life centered around Jesus. Again, that is Devotional Classics by Richard Foster. Okay, number 2, keep fellowship constant. So I am going to say, don't just make promises, but also make plans. Make plans to stay in constant contact with those people who are in your core group, to stay in constant contact with those people who are giving you life, are encouraging you, are challenging you. And that's going to be really important in having a successful summer. Shameless plug. This summer, we have Summer Chi Alpha if you are in New Haven. And that is a great opportunity for you to also stay connected to Chi Alpha and stay connected with those relationships. Be in proximity with your brothers and sisters in Christ. And number 3, keep a routine. So I know that maybe there are some unhealthy habits that you might have acquired over the course of this past year. I'm going to say that it's important this summer to build healthy habits. So, healthy habits that allow you to stick to a routine where you're able to be healthy emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And I think this is also a moment to invite your brothers and sisters in Christ to hold you accountable to this routine so that there is consistency throughout all of your summer and you're able to be successful in having a hot, holy summer. And so I am excited about this summer. I'm excited about what God's going to continue to do in each of your lives. And how he's going to continue to grow you in your devotion to him. So I am so thankful, so blessed that I get to be a part of this mission, a part of this community. And I know that God is going to move in a powerful way in all of you and through you.